Everybody, this is Nick Johnson and my wife Adinah Johnson, and here is another video in a series that we started earlier around distress signs in a relationship. So this is going to be the third sign of that, and that is negative interpretation. So we're going to go into that. We're going to see how that can be a hindrance in our relationships and think about some ways that we can actually spin that negative interpretation into positive interpretation.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. With negative interpretation, and I think we've all have heard about it before, but it occurs when one partner constantly believes that the motives of the other partner more negatively than it really is. And that's so important. Oh, you got to excuse me too. My allergies are giving me a fit, so you may see me rub my nose or something. But with negative interpretation, it's unfortunate, and I think we talked a little bit about it already once before, but it's like if your partner says, "Oh, you look nice today," so I didn't look nice yesterday. It's like everything is negative, even when they try to give you feedback or tell you something to improve. Then I think with negative interpretation, you just don't trust your partner to have your best interests at heart and to deal with you on goodwill. And everything that we talk about is basically goodwill, that you have to have goodwill when you're dealing with your partner, and that, you have to come from a standpoint of love. So I think when it's negative interpretation, the spouse who interprets everything negatively just kind of beats the individual down, beat their spouse down to the point that they can't say anything. And that's unfortunate. That's sad, because you don't want to be at a place in your relationship. And that's why it's a distress, because when you're in a place in your relationship and everything is negative, then it's hopeless. Then it's gloom and doom for everything.
Yeah, I've been at work before, and I've seen it happen, and I'll see where, say, for instance, a husband will send flowers to his wife.
Yeah.
And I've heard individuals say, well, oh, what did he do?
Right.
And he's trying to make up for something. I'm like, man, that is some negative interpretation where
Right.
it can't be that, okay, well, he's just sending some flowers just because.
Or it could be her birthday and she just didn't say anything, or their anniversary.
Yeah, it could just be, or it could be, guess what? It could be just because.
Yeah.
What about that? But I've seen that happen before. Like, man, I was like, why? And for you had to be in a particular space in your life to basically look at everything negatively.
Right.
There's things that have happened in your life where you can just not be willing to expect good and want good.
Yeah.
It reminds me, like the movie Talladega Nights. And I don't know if you saw
Ricky
Bobby. But there's a scene in the movie where his dad, everything always kind of goes bad, and toward the end of the movie, they're kind of sitting around. And yeah, this might be a spoiler, because if you ain't seen Talladega Nights, I don't know where you've been. But
it only came out like in the 90s.
No.
Like 2000.
I think
it's like 2005.
Yeah, like 2000-ish. But the thing is that toward the end of the movie, they're sitting down, and everything's okay. And he starts getting the itch. He's like, this don't feel right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's like, this don't feel right. This don't feel right. And literally all of a sudden, he starts a fight and sound like Chili's or Applebee's or something. Like, this ain't right. So some people, I think it could be that they just don't believe that they deserve, for positive things to happen to them.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because we all deserve great things to happen to us.
Right.
And we deserve the opportunity to just take that in and accept it for what it's worth.
And that's funny, because I was just recently listening to Brene Brown's book, and I think it's Rising Greatness, Being a Great Leader. I can't remember. I'll put it down in the description box after I tell you. But and she was saying that was like a major thing as well. Negative interpretation is, as with a team, sometimes you just have to say, okay, let's be happy about something that's going on. And if something else does happen, then it was supposed to happen. But let's enjoy this moment. I think so often we want to go forward and enjoy a different moment, and it's like you have to enjoy the small moments that you have, and the small things that are happening that are happy. And she mentioned that oftentimes individuals are like, they'll go in and see their baby and they're thinking, I love this baby so much. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And so you can't even enjoy your baby. And that happens a lot with a lot of people.
Okay, so if I find out that I am interpreting things negatively, and we talked about not interpreting them negatively, but interpreting them positively. What things do you think that a person could do to say, okay, well, I think maybe I'm looking at the glass as half empty and not half full? What things can I do to try to rid that from my relationship?
I think it's important that as a spouse, well, let me just talk about the individual and then I'll talk about the spouse. As a spouse, you have to evaluate, am I a negative person? Do I look at everything negatively? And is that a problem? Where did that come from? And how can I fix it? And part of the ways you can fix it is positive affirmations. It's saying positive things to yourself. I think so often we haven't had positive affirmations. I know with our children, I've been doing this for about, how long do you think?
He's about a year and a half, probably.
Yeah, about a while that they have to say positive affirmations to themselves. And so that's every morning and at least every night, so they can hear their own positive self-talk. So I think as an individual, if you feel like you have negative interpretation, I think it's important to say positive affirmations to yourself. We even say positive affirmations to ourselves, like in the morning as we're taking the kids to school, we'll pray. Everybody has their own individual prayer, and then we'll say, I will have a good day today. I will have a productive day today. So I think it's so important to turn it around because the individual is the one that can fix it. So, and for the partner could say, if they say, oh, you look pretty today. Well, I didn't look pretty yesterday. So the partner can say, no, you're beautiful all the time. And then I think it's important for partners to call each other on that and say, what's happening or what's going on, or, because you can feel attacked if a person is negatively interpreting everything. And that's unfortunate because it just makes the partner not even want to bother.
Yeah, I think also some people have challenges with accepting compliments.
Oh, I know. I'm one of them.
Yeah, I know, like, I'm sure you've probably heard it. Well, something like, oh, that is a nice dress or a nice suit. Like, oh, this old thing.
Yeah.
And they're not able to accept it. Like, well, you know what? Thank you. I put this together. I thought it looked all right. Thank you for letting me know.
That is hard to do because I know for a fact, and I had to catch myself on it, because if someone compliments me, I'll say something negative, and that's not good. So I had to catch myself on that and say, okay, that's not good. Don't do that. Yeah. Or just say thank you. Don't say anything. Nobody's asking you anything. Or, if they say, oh, that's a nice dress. Oh, I bought it from Ross for $20. Don't say that.
Yeah. Don't put it down. You deserve those compliments, and individuals deserve those compliments. Yeah. So I think it's extremely important to do that. So I think also when you spoke about the positive affirmations, there is life and death in the power of the tongue.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's there in Proverbs. So you really want to think about that. I think about Pat. It's not Pat. Is it Pat? It was a skit from SNL.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. I want to say, I don't remember.
I don't think
it's not Pat. Because Pat was a different, Pat was a character.
Was the guy, girl, you didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Pat was a good character, though.
Yeah, Pat was a good character. But it was from SNL. Now I'm struggling, but, Google it. If you just type in, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and it'll pop up. Yeah. But it was like literally a skit like that they did recurring with like positive affirmations and things they would talk about. So speaking life is important. Understanding that you deserve to be happy, and that sometimes people just do things just because you are who you are.
Well, and I think sometimes if you feel like everything is negative, then where have you been burned? If you can't just accept just positivity, and especially with your partner, you don't want to do that with your spouse.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
They married you for a reason, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's not to say that certain things aren't warranted. That okay, if it walks like a duck and
talks like a duck, ducks don't talk.
Ducks don't talk. Quacks. Yeah. Walks like a dog, talks like a dog. Dogs don't talk. Bark like a dog. Well, certain things is just okay to say it is. So we do have certain preconceived notions about certain things, but at the same time, we don't want to always assume the worst.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest challenge. If you come home and it's clean, don't think that's ulterior motive. If you come home and you smell something cooking, don't think there's an ulterior motive. Just take it for what it's worth. And you know what? It'll be okay. You just really don't want to sit there and always think of things in a harsh light, a bad light, and always think that, this person is out to get me, or they're expecting something in return for what they're doing. You deserve to understand that, at the end of the day, people can do things for you just because. And like Adinah said, they decided to marry you. They decided to be with you. So why shouldn't they just want to do things just because? So that's extremely important.
Yeah, and when it comes to negative interpretation, if that is a pattern, if you are finding that you're doing that, then it's important to talk to your spouse and explain to them, where it comes from. But first you have to understand where it comes from. Especially if it's important enough to you. You have to understand, okay, that is not okay, and that hurts my partner's feelings. They can't say anything positive to me without me going negative. What did we talk about the time that I was feeling beat down at my job and I needed affirmations from you?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'll just share that real quick. I know I had a job years ago. It was like in 2000 when we first got married, and the manager was really bad. It wasn't a good fit for me, and it just wasn't a positive experience. So I told Nick, I said, every 15 minutes I need you to give me a positive affirmation. And he tried. It was so sweet. He tried. But I had to realize that it wasn't I needed anything external. I needed to go internal and give myself positive affirmations. I needed to figure out what I wanted to do. And your solution to the whole thing was
quit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always quit. You always want me to quit my jobs. So you want me to quit my job right now. So yeah, that was always your thing. But I'm like, well, I still need to work this out.
I'm not a quitter. I'm just saying you should just allocate your resources in other places.
You just don't want. I know. It's like, just quit your job. Just
allocate your resources in other places.
Yeah. So I just had to really figure out if that was where I wanted to be and what I wanted out of the situation. And I did eventually find a different job. I didn't quit, but I found a different job.
On a side note, if our son sees these videos, if I say quit, he always says, Dad, you say Johnsons don't quit.
Right.
So I can't say quit. Have to allocate your resources in other places. So
yes.
That's what I say. But also, I guess the last thing before we wrap up is that if you may not be the individual who is struggling with negative interpretation and your spouse is, I think in a loving way, try to have that conversation with them. It's not easy, but hey, I've noticed because sometimes we're doing something we don't necessarily see that we're doing it.
Yeah.
But other person might be dealing with it. So just really have
an honest conversation. Well, and it could be someone else too. I know with when I was in school, and this may be where my negative interpretation came from. When I was in school, I made all A's and 1 B, and first thing my mom said, "Well, why do you have that B?" I'm like, really? And I was like, I think I was a senior. I was either a junior or a senior in high school. And then I bought her a car, and she says, why does it have a dent in it? So I think that's where my negative interpretation maybe came from. And so part of those things, we have to fix those things that have happened in our childhood that have hurt us and that we've carried into adulthood.
That's true. And if you are wondering on how to have that conversation, we have a playlist on communication. And we definitely recommend taking a look at that to give you some pointers on how to have that initial conversation in regards to that. So I think that pretty much wraps up negative interpretation.
Yep.
So I'm Nick Johnson. This is my beautiful wife, Sniffles Johnson.
You're not nice.
I'm sorry.
See, that's gonna be negative now.
The most beautifulest, snifflest woman in the world.
Let me just say, that's so crazy because I didn't get allergies until later in life, maybe like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I've always, and my doctor said, oh, you have allergies. And I was like, no, that's not true.
But I never had them before. But you got them now.
Yeah, she was like, I can test you. I'm like, that's okay, I got them.
Yeah, I don't want that. So once again, this is Sniffles Johnson and Nick Johnson. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Also, feel free to follow us on all the socials, and also to send us emails if you have questions about anything. So please make sure to do that. So we're signing off here. Make sure to take care of one another, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.